Hello YouTube, what is up? It is Socraticle here yet again. I originally didn't plan on making another video today, but then I came across this article from The Guardian by Jess Phillips called Abusive Men Are Everywhere and Some of Us Love Them by Jess Phillips, who is a female MP for the Labour Party in Parliament. And I just couldn't pass it up. It was too juicy an opportunity, covered too many of the topics that I wanted to talk about, especially regarding this Me Too movement and my thoughts on it. Here we go!
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
And here is the article, again titled, Abusive Men Are Everywhere and Some of Us Love Them by Jess Phillips. Me Too is a superb phenomenon, but we need training to overcome the instinct to defend loved ones. And right off the bat, you know this is going to be a doozy. It starts, for months, the Me Too movement hashtag has rolled like a tsunami over the careers of famous producers, directors, photographers, and politicians. It has felt like every woman has a story to tell, and I certainly have loads. It seems a change is coming, and most decent people are joining in the chorus to say, time is up, bravo. I have noticed that, as well as thinking how awful it is, and trotting out the obvious line that it's not just Hollywood, but is endemic in every walk of life, we seem completely incapable of realizing what that means. It means that we know and love abusive men. I know I do. All of us. Just every last one of us knows abusive men. Not a gross generalization. She speaks for all women. She did a head count, she tallied them up. She was elected leader. The phenomenon is not a new one to anyone who has worked with abusive women and girls, and we shouldn't beat ourselves up for being massive hypocrites. When working at Women's Aid, I met countless women whose families had not believed them when they spoke of their abuse at the hands of another loved one. I remember one girl who had told her mother that her stepdad had been forcing her to have sex with him from a young age. It took a huge amount of work to get to the stage where she could tell her mother. She felt it could not be true and accused the girl of jealousy, of childish attention-seeking, and histrionics. Side note here, when she used the word she at the beginning of that sentence, it was slightly confusing because she could be referring to the daughter or the mother with just the pronoun. So, Jess, a clarification would be needed, but context clues tell me it is, in fact, the mother she's talking about. Their relationship broke down and this teenager left home, leaving her mother still living with the man who had raped her. That is horrific. Even as I'm writing this, I can feel you, the reader, judging this mother, thinking how awful she is, putting her own relationship before her daughter. You would never do that. You would never believe your partner over your child. You are better than them. You want to other her. You want her to be a pantomime villain of a mother. In your head, she is desperate, lonely, probably a bit mutton, dressed as a lamb. With a fag and a drink, she wasn't. She looked like you. You might find it hard to believe, but you would probably do the exact same as her. Imagine the bloke you loved the most in the world, the one you trust to look after you if things go wrong. Your dad, your husband, your brother, your son. No matter what you think, if someone told you that he had groped her, raped her, exploited her, your first instinct would be to assume that she was mad or mistaken. You would try to find a way to explain it. Oh no, you've misunderstood. He's just overly friendly with anyone. Well, Jess, that would depend. That would depend on past behavior. If I had a brother or a father or a son that was known for doing this sort of thing, that had done this action repeatedly in their time, I would not be surprised, and I would probably not defend such action. But if they have been, a good moral human being most of their life, and someone comes up to me saying they have done something horrific, of course my first instinct is to doubt. That is, flies in the face of every piece of evidence I have seen from that person over our entire lives together. So yes, of course my first response is to think they're somehow mistaken until proven otherwise. Lena Dunham, a vocal feminist and a woman I respect, why on earth would you, found it difficult to believe that her friend Murray Miller, a funny liberal smart guy whom she loved, could have assaulted someone. So she accused the victim of lying. While our first instinct is to listen to every woman's story, our insider knowledge of Murray's situation makes us confident, sadly, that this accusation is one of the 3% of assault cases that are misreported every year. She's perfectly right to say that. It's not indicative of her moral character. We don't know if these accusations against Murray Miller are true. We do not know that. They have not been proven to be true yet. Maybe she did have insider information. She later contradicted this and basically walked back every one of her statements, so I really don't know what to believe about the Murray Miller situation. But it could be that Lena knew that this woman had a history of lying about incidents and that Murray Miller had never done something like this once before in her entire professional relationship of knowing him. So it seems perfectly reasonable to me to say that I have insight into the situation that leads me to believe that these accusations are false. I see no indication of immorality in doing that. But again, Lena Dunham did back up these claims, so I can't say for certain on the Murray Miller situation and the insight that Lena Dunham has into it. Well, not quite your first instinct, Lena. Your first instinct was the normal human reaction to protect yourself from horror. When your worldview was challenged, you'd be surprised how quickly you can find a way to dismiss reality. Again, why use the word reality? I mean, these are just accusations. They're not proven yet. It's innocent until proven guilty, Jess. These feminists, as much as I might sympathize with the whole Me Too movement and the horrors of the sexual assault stories coming out of Hollywood at the moment, it makes it difficult to support them when they say stuff like this, when they advocate for a justice system that is wholly alien to anything the West has ever encountered, and a guilty until proven innocent mindset that can only lead to witch trials and a gross miscarriage of justice. Don't let's leap on Dunham as a monster. Let's recognize that we'd all find it hard to compute. This instinct has to be trained out of us. Oh, that's a creepy message if I've ever heard one. Go right to your Me Too re-education camps. As the sexual harassment scandal came across the Atlantic, it alighted on the decrepit Houses of Parliament. Unsurprisingly, the same disbelief was the response. I'm not going to defend the Houses of Parliament. I have suspected for years it is full of gross perverts that get sexual kicks out of forcing themselves on less powerful people. So I'm not really going to defend them, but it is innocent until proven guilty. And until these accusations are proven, and again, I don't know if they have, then these people should be treated fairly. They shouldn't just be thrown into cells because someone has accused them of some horrid action. Politicians can trot out the line about keeping the victim central to the process and making sure that the procedures are fair so that women can come forward. But when it's their mates, it's a different story. Theresa May goes on TV all shrouded in care for victims and solidarity with women, but when it came to it, she was quicker off the mark in accepting Michael Fallon's resignation from her cabinet than she was in ditching her friend Damian Green. Both the Tories and Labour have quietly dropped all investigations into a number of their MPs or staff being accused of groping, making colleagues buy sex toys, and sexting teenagers. I assume they think that these women are lying. How will the parties feel when more women come forward? In some cases, I know there are more victims. Well, I'm not going to speak to your inside knowledge, Jess, but I think you have a moral obligation to come forward with these accusations if you believe there is substantial evidence backing them up. The reason people like me plead for specialist services for victims is because people need training to recognize their biases. Again, that creepy word training. It sounds to me a whole lot like re-education. The reason I ask for an independent system to be the arbiter of sexual harassment in politics and the workplace is because I know how hard it is for people to believe that their friend, relative, trusted colleague / partner could do such a thing. Well, Jess, in an ideal world, that independent arbiter should be your human resources department. Now, I understand that often human resources department are compromised by conflicts of interest, but we already have those departments. We don't need to create some new tribunal in which we send people there guilty until they prove themselves innocent before the high elders. I'm not sure I can bear to read another article hating a person who wanted to give an abuser the benefit of the doubt because the truth is that is the most common reaction. But again, we are here to determine the truth. The truth is not already determined, Jess. We don't know the truth of these accusations until they have been proven, so we must view all claims with doubt. We don't disbelieve them, nor do we believe them. We remain perfectly neutral until evidence emerges. And if it is true that those investigations have been quietly shut down by those in power, that's atrocious, and we should reopen those investigations, but we should not go into those investigations believing the accused are guilty before they have even a chance to utter a word in their defense. I'm not excusing cover-ups. I am asking for us to recognize that there is a problem with how we handle this stuff. when it happens around us so that we can make it better. Not all men are abusers. I think most aren't. Well, how generous of you, Jess. But most people know an abusive man, and we need to be braver about recognizing that. So this is my problem with Jess Phillips and the entire Me Too movement, is they take something good, something I can get behind, the fact that women are finally speaking up against abusers in powerful positions, like Harvey Weinstein, like Matt Lauer, and they turn it into something so extreme that I cannot in any good conscience get behind it. They want us to thoroughly overhaul the entire justice system of the West to ensure that every woman's accusations are merited as true before even a shred of evidence is presented. She keeps using the word truth and reality, when in reality all we have is the word of an accuser against an accused. That must be proven in a court of law. And my thoughts on the Me Too movement in general are, when women have been abused, the number is 911. That is the number these victims should call. These accusers should call when they have been the victims of a sexual assault. 911. Not New York Times, not the New York Post, not the Wall Street Journal. The number is 911. We should hash these accusations out in a court of law where there's a standard of evidence, not in the media where mob justice rules the day. We should not have the mob deciding who is guilty or innocent based on their whims and how convincing the accuser is. That's my big issue with it. It's becoming a witch hunt, and I think Liam Neeson said that best. It is becoming a witch hunt. And as a man in college, it is scary. It is scary to think that just an accusation could destroy any potential career I might have, or expel me from academia entirely, because of the mindset that these feminists have created on campus. It's truly terrifying. And the movement more in general, how, Oprah got up on the platform at the Golden Globes and said, no more, that's it, that's enough. That's the end of it. Oprah, you have been the queen of daytime television for 30 years, 20, 30 years. Do you expect me to believe that you had no fucking idea what was going on this entire time? Just, I didn't know. Did you know? No, I didn't know. I mean, Courtney Love, for God's sake, knew what was going on with Harvey Weinstein, and she's the wife of someone famous. I find it difficult that the queen of daytime TV had no idea what was happening, especially since you've been interviewing more celebrities than Ellen. Did not one of them drop you a line and clue you in on to what was really going on? Really? Do you expect me to believe that? And if they did, then that makes you a horrible person for not bringing it up earlier, not exposing this beforehand. How many more victims were there because that you refused to speak out against your Hollywood friends? And if you didn't know, then you are probably inept, because if Courtney Love was able to find out what was going on, I find it difficult that Oprah had no fucking idea. That's it. That's all the thoughts I have on the issue. Tell me what you guys thought. Tell me if you liked the video. If you did, like and subscribe. Leave me a comment if you disagreed, or if you agreed. Just tell me what you thought. Tell me what your thoughts are. I'm genuinely interested to know what the range of opinions are on this issue. And if you do have a legitimate disagreement, let's talk it out. Let's hash it out in the comments. So as always, guys, thanks for listening to me. Thanks for taking the moment out of your day to hear the words of just another asshole on the internet, Socraticle. Coming back at you soon with some more hot fire. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.